could you start talking so I can...
Testing one.
So we want to thank Raymond from Creo for sponsoring the event. He's going to have he's going to have a demo booth over there for anyone interested. We use Esource, we use Creo actually, and then Kobe is here. He's going to introduce himself. He's our study coordinator at Global Clinical Trials here in Costa Mesa. And we're just going to talk about his career, how he got started. I know a lot of people are interested in how people get started, specifically if you have a master's degree, because that's what Kobe had. So he has plenty of education and he was willing to intern. Hello, Kaladi. How's it going? So we have coffee and donuts there too. So are we recording? Fine? We're good? Okay, so let's, Kobe, introduce yourself, please. Let them know your background and then how you got started with us, because I think it's very important. And then we're going to get an introduction from Raymond from Creo, and we're going to merge the two stories.
Okay. Hi, how you guys doing? My name is Kobe Sugihara-Bell. I have an associate's in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's with an emphasis in clinical research or applied research. And I guess the way that I got started with Dan, maybe you guys have seen his social media, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is.
Just maybe.
Just maybe. I don't know about that. We've all seen his videos, and I just wanted to to utilize my master's. So I went online. I said, oh, all right, what's the first job I can get? First person that popped up was that guy sitting over there in the middle. And I said, all right, well, I mean, this guy sounds like he knows what he's doing. He has all these videos out. No one out there has them. Let's give it a shot. Let's just try and just text him, see him. Because his number is on YouTube. Like, straight up, your personal number.
So, and actually, we're going to teach, Amir's going to come next. He's an SEO expert, search engine optimization. So he's going to teach everybody, no matter who you're trying to target, whether you're a site trying to target physicians or patients or sponsors, or if you are somebody that's trying to break into the industry, we're going to teach you how to boost your web profile. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing I did. Mine turned into B2B, but when I started out, I did want to do patient recruitment, and it didn't work. So we'll get into that with Amir, but yeah, thanks for sharing that part.
Of course. Yeah, so his number is literally on YouTube, and I said, why not? Let's give this a shot. Within 5 minutes, he texted me back, and I'm like, okay, all this information that he's giving me, what is it going to come at? Like, what's the cost? Like, there's nothing ever free. Like, free isn't even given away for free. What do I have to give? Yeah, I have to give myself my time. Long story, my soul.
You said your soul.
I mean, I do work a lot, but it's fine. I love it. But basically, long story short, I just kept being persistent with him over maybe the course of 3 to 4 months, I would say. I would just check up recurrently, like, hey, Dan, do you have anything for me? This is what I have. My degrees, I'm versed in this. I mean, if you need me to take out the trash, I will do that. I think that's a literal line that I told him in the interview. And he's like,
yeah, this was a guy with a master's degree, but we really had no room for anyone else. But he was persistent, and he wasn't even in our CRA Academy until later. Because usually we reserve the internship spots for our students, the people that graduate. But Kobe was not the case, but he kept reaching out. I think it was like 15 times.
Yeah, it was at least 15 times. Cause, I mean,
and then I remembered, like, by the 9th time, I was like, okay, I know who he is. Then he sent me his CV by the 10th time.
Yeah, I think Dan contacted me and said, hey, this guy's just driving me up the wall.
Yes.
But then I actually looked at his CV and I was like, ooh, master's degree.
Yeah.
And right now I'm the rater at my site, and I don't want to do that. You need a master's degree for most of these things. So yeah, come on in, Kobe.
I mean, I think I got to thank Monica for it, because I think she was the one who said, hey, let's just give this guy
Where's
a shot.
Monica?
Yeah. Is she in?
She's not here. Huh? Oh, she's at the store?
Well, whenever she comes back,
thank you, Monica. It's on video.
It's on video. Thank you, Monica. But yeah, so I was just very persistent with Dan. No experience. And then when I actually did get the internship, he did put me in the CRA Academy, and then I was able to network off of that as well. The CRA Academy is actually very, very beneficial for if you do want to become a monitor, or even if you are a monitor and you just maybe want to brush up on your skills as well. But I think also you guys are starting your CRC Academy, which would also be really good for coordinators or people who just want to maybe get that entry position in coordinating. But yeah, I was just very persistent. you really got to try 100 times.
So what are you doing now at the site? Can you just give them a little day-to-day of what you do?
Yeah, I'm a coordinator most of the time, and then I will also help out with the rating skills to utilize my masters. So coordinating, maybe touching bases with the sponsors, maybe with our Creo friends out over here, calling patients, scheduling patients, just the day-to-day, everyday grunt worker stuff that goes on within clinical research. That's also myself. If Dan or maybe our PI needs help with the rating skills, maybe they can't be there a certain day, I will step in. They both train me, so, and I know I have my master's, so I'm overqualified for some of them. But yeah, on the day-to-day, typically the coordinating position.
Yep. And then your career trajectory, I mean, once you do that, then you start getting into the realm of sub-I, and then now they have with all these CNS studies, central raters, which is really important. Actually, we need more of them. So that's, you're on a good track.
Yeah. I'm hoping to project my rating career a little bit more now.
That's right. So next year's conference will be maybe about that.
Yeah, about my rating career.
Thank you for sharing, and we'll get your thoughts on Creo next, because I only know a little bit about it. You know the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So you can say what you don't like about it also. I don't know if there is, but you can. But Raymond's a very interesting guy. So Raymond started out as a site owner. He's an attorney, right? By training. By training. So not practicing attorney, but he's an attorney by training. He started a site, and then he saw the demand for Esource, for technology. And so he has a tech background too. So why don't you kind of give us your background a little bit?
Yeah, like Dan said, I used to run a research site. I do not have a tech background, but my partner does. So the two of us started this company back in 2015. It's called Clinical Research IO, Creo, C-R-I-O, clinicalresearch.io. You want to look it up. But basically, as a person running the site, I mean, I couldn't deal with all the inefficiencies. I recall, being at the site one day at 9 o'clock at night and saying, well, why am I here looking at sticky notes at the monitor road? And why are my coordinators leaving things blank? And why are they misdating things? And why are they forgetting to do the audit trail and leave date initials? And all these stupid little things that are consuming a lot of time. I thought to myself, well, the technology's there. It's very doable. It's solved on the healthcare side. If we had a technology in place that would correct you as you completed it, that would make these source notes and everything available remotely, you could create tremendous efficiencies. And so I started dreaming up what the technology would look like. And I spent the last 4 years basically working on Creo to realize a technology from end to end that would streamline things for a research site on this, my dream technology. So since then, Creo has become an Esource. We have an e-regulatory. We have a full CTMS. It's a scheduling, recruiting, financial management module, and a patient stipend module that lets you pay patients with a stipend card if necessary.
So as far as the site, do you still have that site?
Yes, but it's a lot smaller than it used to be, and I'm not really involved day to day.
Okay, so I'm trying to think, other than seeing the monitors and the sticky notes, what made you actually take that leap? Because it's one thing to see an inefficiency, but then not act on it. So what made you actually do that?
Well, I guess I've always had an entrepreneurial streak, and so I saw an opportunity, and then I started surveying site owners in the local area, and got surprisingly positive response from a number of them. So I thought to myself, I just did the math, there's something like 3,000 to 5,000 sites in the United States.
This was before Esource was actually a thing, right?
We were the first to really commercialize Esource. There were a couple instances where you saw a site owner here and they developed their own platform, but we were the first to really make this a category. So I sat there and I did some math. There were 3,000 to 5,000 sites, and I figured, after a couple of years, what are we going to get, 2% of the market? But 2% of 5,000 is 100. Okay, that's a meaningful number, right? That's critical mass. That proves viability. Are 2% of site owners willing to jump in? Yeah, I think so. So based on that assumption, I approached my current business partner, who is a really good technology person, and he said yes. So then we launched it.
So I'm actually curious. Did you start with just bootstrap, or did you have investors?
No, we raised money from the beginning. It's a big effort. It requires a lot of technology. There's also a huge regulatory compliance piece, so whatever it costs to build technology, add 20-30% of that because of the FDA Part 11 requirements. So it's a pretty big endeavor. So we raised 2 rounds of funding so far. We do have a couple of venture capitalists who have backed us. We are profitable now, so we're past the growing stage. Growing pains part, and we're not really a startup anymore. We're sort of transitioning. So, but yeah, no. And then we have a number of angel investors as well.
Yeah, that's good. So how many sites are here? I know there's some sites later on more are coming. There's a few people from sites. So do any of you guys use Esource yet, or is it all paper? Paper? Creo. Very good. So paper. So
I'm sorry, Dan, could you please repeat that?
yeah, do you use paper or Esource at your site?
Okay, and they said,
One said Creo, which is his company. It's Esource. Clinicalresearch.io. So yeah, Esource. And so we've had actually, like, the first monitor I showed this to, because I was expecting a lot of pushback. She actually liked it. She had to get approval. She had to ask for all the validations and all that. So I think it's becoming more normal, just like EDC was a decade ago. People were kind of weirded out by that. But here's the important thing for sites. This is why I like Creo, because I used to hate Esource. When the sponsors force you to use their Esource, okay, it's not site-friendly at all. Everything is designed for them to have metrics and to see what time you did certain things. With Creo, it's very site-friendly. So everything's still timestamped, but you can't, like with the sponsor-provided Esource, it's just way more cumbersome. And they don't really care about convenience to the site and real day-to-day use of the coordinator, which, Kobe, what are your thoughts? I know you got to go.
First, I would assume that's dependent upon who's purchasing Source, right?
Yeah, most vendors have been targeting sponsors because they have bigger budgets, right? And so one of part of my thought process is no one's really targeting the sites. But I'm from the site side, and the site requirements are so different from the sponsor requirements. So the way we design this Esource is radically different than how you would imagine a vendor whose sole purpose is to get the deal with the sponsor, how they would design it. They would design it based on some imagination of how some theoretical coordinator would use it, and everything will be oriented towards the ultimate buyer, in that case the sponsor. So it's a very different experience.
Yeah, I used to be an Esource hater, like when Raymond first contacted me, I think it was 2015. You were telling me about Esource and why we should use it, and I was like, why are we going to shoot ourselves in the foot? Like, why do we need that? We use paper. And if we can be candid here, if you mess up on paper, you get a new piece of paper. With Esource, my fear was you can't do that. But Raymond's company makes it super easy. So Kobe, why don't you tell us how easy it is, because I know you got to go to Vegas. What are you going to Vegas for, by the way?
Just a basketball tournament, easy stuff. So Creo, it's an easier usage compared to paper. Like when I first started, I learned paper, which is I guess the old school way, which is really good because I got to see both sides, the paper side and the eSource side. With the papers, I'd be lugging around all the source documents around, maybe from one room to the next room to the ratings and after that. So when I'm doing the ratings, I'd also have to be maybe writing down something else, and it was just a little inconvenience at times. But for eSource, it's actually super portable and it's easy because you can use your phone. Maybe if you don't have a phone, sites have tablets, or even your laptop, whatever it is, it's on different platforms and it's super, super easy. It's UI friendly, or user interface is super, super simple. But I think for me, sometimes it gets a little bit too much in the way where I do have to always carry around my laptop, or maybe if I'm taking a patient's blood pressure or their vitals or something, I can't be holding a phone with the actual blood pressure machine, or maybe just if it requires two hands. Even the EKG machines, sometimes that's hard to record.
Raymond, we got to fix that.
Sometimes that's hard in real time, but in terms of efficiency, it's way more efficient. I know they track the times whenever we enter data. I know for source documents, for paper, you have to write a progress report of the visit after each source or not after each source document, after the visit. And one thing that I don't like about Creo is how there's a progress note for every CRF in the visit. And that kind of makes it a little bit harder because that initial, or that, not the initial, the final progress note at the end of the visit is kind of, it sums up everything on the source, on the paper source document. But for Creo, I have to keep going back and checking, okay, what did I say? What did I remember? Because I mean, we're not always doing all the assessments at once. So I'm going to forget what their blood pressure was or what time I took their blood pressure was. So maybe if we can condense all those progress reports and those each individual sections into just one, or maybe just a finalized draft version.
So which do you prefer?
Creo is easier. I do prefer it.
Over paper?
Yeah, over paper. Yeah.
Yeah, great suggestions. Just a note on time. Okay, so I used to run a site, so I get it. Most of the issues with the timestamps surround a coordinator doing their best, but paper is just not friendly. And you'll miss that checkbox, you'll miss that line, you'll miss that signature. Monitor's coming in the next day, you look at your paper source. Oops, made a mistake. Okay, let's just clean it up. So the whole idea behind Creo is that if you have real-time edit checks, you won't make those mistakes in the first place. So the whole concept here is when the patient's gone, you're done. Of course you have to QC it, of course you have to review it and all that, but you don't have this nagging concern. Did I miss a signature? Did I miss a checkbox? You know, how, am I truly done with it? When you're done, right? And so after that, it's really just about the progress note, making sure that, you know, it looks good, that things are generally consistent. So that, you know, the idea is that the effort of QC involved should go down dramatically. And that's the idea. And a lot of people think, well, okay, so there's data collection, then there's data entry, and okay, you still have the ABC entry with our system. Well, okay, well, where's the efficiency? Well, the efficiency is not data collection, data entry. It's data collection, data cleanup, data entry. And there's a lot of data cleanup. And so you take that data cleanup part, right, and you're eliminating 80, 90% of that. That's the idea behind Creo.
Sure. No, you're not.
Another point I just want to point out. So I know that you pointed out it does real-time data cleanups. Sometimes when I'm going through the exclusion and inclusion criterias, I know what they are, and sometimes it'll say the opposite. So, oh, it'll clean up in real time, and it'll say, no, this patient is excluded. Press OK, whatever, to go on to the next one. That's a little minor issue as well, but I've experienced that maybe 80% of the time when I'm doing my inclusion-exclusion criteria, where I know, okay, they need this criteria to be yes, or they need it to be no, and it'll just switch it to the opposite. So it's a little minor inconvenience for that one.
That could be the way it's designed, the template. I'm not sure that's a software issue.
Well, because it says, I know we send all the protocols to you guys so you understand all the inclusions and all that. So when I do check the yes or the no or the...
Then we didn't do a good job with the design. Yeah, but that's a function of, that's the other point here which you're raising, which is that, you know, you do have to design the templates thoughtfully, right? Because if you build the edit checks correctly, all the data flows easily, right? So if you don't do a good job, then you're almost codifying bad data.
No, I think it'd fall under just the edit checks, but that's a minor issue. Everything else is very good.
Yeah.
I don't know, is this an open panel?
Yeah, please. Actually, I was going to say, me and Chris, we ordered 100 of our books to give away. We only have 20. Amazon sent us 20 when we ordered 100. So we're going to look throughout the day who's participating, and then we'll give out some books if you want. We only have 20. So, question, yes.
So well, maybe a potential solution to that, part of that, what you guys are discussing, I come from a telehealth background, and so basically we did remote monitoring equipment that would take the, like say, blood pressure and would automatically transpose the numbers into the system, which then real-time stamped it. And so maybe that's something to look at in the future to be able to avoid having to hold something and log it in where it actually automatically transfers into that document, which would be great. We did blood pressure cuffs, glucometers, pulse ox, and scale, and all that information. Basically, the patient would use those, that would get transferred, and then the clinicians could look at it, have real-time data of when it was taken, and that all got put into a report. So I don't know.
That's good. And actually, pretty soon the wearables are going to start gaining more prevalence. So you can have vital signs done automatically, and then it could integrate to Esource or EDC. So I think it's going to get easier to do a study, but you could potentially make more mistakes if you're a site and you're not careful. So there's that whole thing. Yes, more. Yes.
This is maybe a little bit off topic, but
site SOPs, but there's really no like, that's a very good thing you bring up. And
I mean, I see a variance of 20 now.
yeah, and I know some sites, they use the same medical calibrator, and I often wonder how he's calibrating the equipment, but just walking around the office. But yeah, I mean,
The blood pressure cuff has to fit the person.
that's right.
Way, or it is way off.
And some sites even using the ones for the wrist too, so it's like it's not consistent among sites. I think the wearables are going to change that. When the sponsor gives every site, hey, use this for your patients, I think they're actually trying to do that. We're just early. Ray has a solution.
Toby, have you used the history view in our system?
No, I actually haven't.
Oh, okay, well, here's a
Yeah.
cool feature. So you're looking at the vitals in our system, and you want to know what arm used at the last visit. You can click a button, and you can see all the prior responses to the question, what arm did you use? If you want to look at the trend line for blood pressure, you can click a button. You can see the history of all the past blood pressures. We've got an enhancement in the pipeline right now that will, when you design a template, allow you to carry forward a value that was captured at a prior visit. So if you want to calculate the delta, so if your protocol says that the delta is 20 or more, soon we'll have it so that that can be automated in our system as well.
Does Creo give alerts if something's way out of baseline?
Yeah, you can set the alert as, over 160 or 180 or whatever it is, and, it requires PI, clinical significance. In fact, you can build a question saying clinically significant, yes or no, and if it's within range, you don't see that question at all.
Very good. Any more questions? And then they also have a CTMS which integrates, so it's nice because after a visit you can see how much you earned, which is very important. Maybe the most important thing. Anything else? Questions for Raymond? He has his station up there, so he's going to be giving live demos, I think, right? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Raymond and Kobe. Go to Vegas, man.
Don't lose too much money.
Somebody came from Vegas.
Who came from Vegas? Do you live over there? Very nice. So you made the trip all the way down there. Hopefully it's worth it.
We'll see, Kobe.
I didn't know they were giving away a